This year has thrown a few curveballs at us, and that includes money matters and finances. So joining us now is financial expert Kimberly Foss to talk about some of these money issues. Hey, Kimberly, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Aubrey, good morning.
So Election Day, it is less than a month away now. Why should people pay attention to the presidential candidates' tax plans?
Yeah, so this is going to affect everybody, and it really just depends on who's going to get in, right? So if Trump gets in, Aubrey, there's going to be some changes, but not really a lot. You know, obviously, we've seen his policy in the last 4 years. So we kind of know what he's done. Also, Aubrey, a lot of people don't realize is that we've been in a very tax-favored policy for over 20 years. Because when Obama got in 2008, we were in a recession, so he didn't really change anything in regard to the tax policy. And we all know that Republicans favor more tax favored than the Democrats. But, you know, it just depends on who gets in, right? So we just have to be aware that if Trump gets reelected, things will probably stay the same. There's some things that are going to sunset in 2025 that he's going to repeal and probably make permanent, like the child tax credit, which is really big. So that's kind of some of the things you want to look at.
Well, when we talk about President Trump's tax plan, what else should we know about it?
Well, he also continues to favor corporations, so he'll continue to favor them, and also corporations that have plans to be able to bring people from overseas to jobs here in the United States. He's going to incentivize those corporations. He'll also keep tax favored for high tax individuals or high paying individuals. We'll probably take those taxes. Those marginal income tax brackets will still stay low. So it's really kind of a very capitalistic tax favored environment to kind of keep the economic engine going, which kind of we sort of need because we're sort of back. I'm not saying we're back in 2008, but we are in a recession, or we're sort of in a job recession. So we don't necessarily really want to raise taxes in this environment until we get stabilized again.
Okay, so let's talk about his opponent, Joe Biden. What does Joe Biden's tax plan look like?
So if Biden comes in, and they've already said that they're going to raise taxes pretty much across the board, and that is something on the wealthiest individuals, which are basically paying over $400,000, making over $400,000 or more. He's going to raise the taxes on them as well as corporations. One of the current tax brackets basically that Biden has the highest right now is 37%. It's going to go to 39.6%. He's already said that. Also, the corporate tax bracket, which ours was the highest in the nation actually not in the nation, in the world, before they lowered it to 21%. It was 35%, and it will be raised back up to 28%. So corporations will pay more taxes as well. And the capital gains rate, this is the big one, Aubrey. Capital gains rate right now is about on the highest levels, 20%, and it will go up to 39.6. So what that basically means is that a lot of people who have highly appreciated securities, like in the stock market or in real estate, they're not going to be as apt to sell those, right? Because they're going to pay a huge capital gain, which then it kind of cuts off the flow of economic development, right? So that's a potential downside to that. I'm not saying that we don't need to raise taxes. In some areas, we absolutely do because we have a huge debt. But the other thing is you're going to see probably income tax or the payroll tax increase to 12.4% on $400,000 or more. But the other big one is estate taxes. Right now, all of us get $11.3 million of exemption when we die, okay? Which, you know, is way over a lot of people. So there's 23.2% for a married couple. If the Democrats get in and they have their way, there's speculation and talk about capping that at 3.5 million. So in other words, anything over 3.5 million will be taxed. And that starts at literally 40% now. The Democrats are also basically kind of implementing that or implicating that they may increase that to 77%, which would be huge. Because think about it, Aubrey, here in California, you know, the average home sale is $750,000. So that could raise that $33.5 million pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're talking about a lot of numbers. This is a lot to wrap your head around. Are there any ways in which both of their tax plans are similar?
No. They're, not really. I mean, they kind of are very, very polarized, and that is the nature of more of a Democratic tax policy and a Republican. That's what I was saying, alluding to the fact that we have been kind of in this 20-year period of very tax-friendly environment. So there is going to be a change if the Democrats do get in. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying, I'm being, basically Switzerland right now, but there is going to be a change. So, some of the things that people can do, though, right now, if they think that Trump is going to get reelected, really there's not a lot that you have to do, because everything's kind of going to stay the same. If you're thinking that Biden's going to get in, there's some things that you want to do. Maybe you want to basically take your income that you were going to get for next year, bring that all into this year so that you're taxed in this environment, right? Also, any capital gains you may want to go ahead and take this year. Many of my clients were going through and rebalancing portfolios. We're talking about, large capital gains, but I'm advising them that it's better to take that now just because they need to get rebalanced. But also if they believe that Biden is going to get in or Democrats are going to get in, that they should take that, that capital gains hit now as opposed to later, because they probably will raise capital gains rates and raise marginal tax rates across the board as well.
Right. And Kimberly, I just want to clarify, if I'm understanding correctly, it sounds like because President Trump kind of has the lower taxes on corporations and for those people making more than $400,000 a year, they would be most affected if indeed Biden was the one who wins the election and is going to come into office.
They would, but there is speculation, too, that across the board, the marginal tax brackets would rise, even in the middle class. And that's the key, is that just because don't be, subject to like, oh, well, it's okay if Biden gets in because we may not be, we don't make $400,000 or more. That's not necessarily true. There is talk that the middle class would be hit with an increase in marginal rates. That means our rates that, go from 10 all the way to 37%. So we could be hit as well in the middle, and probably will be, because our debt is so high right now. It's $26.2 trillion. It's very high. We've got to get this debt down somehow.
All right. Do your homework, folks, as you head out to cast those votes this November. Thanks, Kimberly.